Hello, friends, and welcome to the American Revolutionary War Part 2. This primarily took place on July 4th, 1776 at the Pennsylvania State House, Independence Hall in Philadelphia. The 56 delegates to the Second Continental Congress represented the 13 colonies, 12 of which voted to approve the Declaration of Independence on July 2nd, 1776. The New York delegation abstained because they had not yet received instructions from Albany to vote for independence. The Declaration proclaimed the signatory colonies were now free and independent states, no longer colonies of the Kingdom of Great Britain, and thus no longer a part of the British Empire. The Battle of Long Island, which was the first major battle after the signing of Declaration on August 26, 1776, at 5:10 on August 22nd, an advance of guard of 4,000 British troops left Staten Island, and at 8 a.m. all 4,000 troops landed unopposed on the shore of Gravesend Bay. George Washington's crossing of the Delaware River, which occurred on the night of December 25th through 26, 1776, during the American Revolutionary War, was the first move in a surprise attack organized by George Washington against the Hessian forces in Trenton, New Jersey, on the morning of December 26. Planned in a partial secrecy, Washington led a column of Continental Army troops across the icy Delaware River in a logistical, challenging, and dangerous operation. Other planned crossings in support of the operation were either called off or ineffective, but this did not prevent Washington from surprising and defeating the troops of Joan and Rail quartered in Trenton. Following the battle in Trenton, the army crossed the river again back to Pennsylvania, this time laden with prisoners and military stores taken as a result of the battle. Washington's army then crossed the river a third time at the end of the year under conditions making it more difficult by the uncertain thickness of the ice on the river. They defeated British reinforcements under Lord Cornwallis in Trenton on January 2, 1777, and defeated his rear guard at Princeton on January 3rd, before retreating to Winter's quarters in Morristown, New Jersey. The unincorporated communities of Washington Crossing, Pennsylvania, and Washington Crossing, New Jersey, are named in honor of this event. Following the victory at the Battle of Trenton early in the morning of December 26, 1776, General George Washington of the Continental Army and his Council of War expected a strong British counterattack. Washington and the council decided to meet his attack in Trenton and established a defensive position south of Assapequa Creek. Lieutenant General Charles Cornwallis led the British forces southward in the aftermath of December 26 battle, leaving 1,400 men under Lieutenant Colonel Charles Malhood in Princeton. Cornwallis's advance on Trenton with about 5,000 men on January 2nd. His advance was significantly slowed by defense skirmishing by American riflemen under the command of Edward Hand, and the advanced guard did not reach Trenton until twilight. After assaulting the American positions 3 times and being repulsed each time, Cornwallis decided to wait and finish the battle the next day. Washington moved his army around Cornwallis's camp that night and attacked Malhood at Princeton the next day. That defeat prompted the British to withdraw from most of New Jersey for the winter. In 1780, about 5,500 French soldiers landed in Rhode Island to help their American allies fight the British troops who controlled New York City. Following the arrival of dispatches from France that include the possibility of support from the French West Indies fleet on the Comte de Grasse, disagreements arose between Washington and Robin Howe on whether to attack de Grasse for assistance in besieging New York or in military operations against the British Army in Virginia. On the advance of Rochambeau, de Grasse informed them of his intent to sail to Chesapeake Bay, where Cornwallis had taken command of the army. Cornwallis, at first given confusing orders by a superior officer, Henry Clinton was eventually ordered to build a defensible deep-water port, which he began to do in Yorktown. Cornwallis's movements in Virginia were shadowed by Continental Army force led by Marquis de Lafayette. Peace negotiations began in Paris in April 1782 and continued through the summer. Representing the United States were Benjamin Franklin, John Hay, Henry Laurens, and John Adams. Representing Great Britain were David Hartley and Richard Oswald. The treaty was drafted on November 30, 1782, and signed at the Hôtel de York in Paris on September 3, 1783, by Adams, Franklin, Jay, and Hartley. Regarding the American treaty, the key episodes came in September 1782 when French Foreign Minister Vergennes proposed a solution, which was strongly opposed by his ally, the United States. France was exhausted by the war and everybody wanted peace except for Spain, which insisted on continuing the war until it could capture Gibraltar from the British. Vergennes came up with a deal that Spain would accept instead of Gibraltar. The United States would gain its independence but would be confined to the area east of the Appalachian Mountains. Britain would keep that area north of the Ohio River, which was part of the province of Quebec, in the area south that would be set up an independent Indian barrier state under Spanish control.